Now, if you are looking to start working with Gutenberg, or you fancy taking a look at it, but you're kind of been put off by the fact that it's not particularly very powerful, I think today's tool is going to really open your eyes to some of the possibilities. Now, we know that full site editing is coming to WordPress very, very soon in the next release of WordPress. Now, with that, we still have a lot of limitations, and Cwicly, the plugin we're going to take a look at today, aims to reduce a lot of those limitations. But is it any good? Well, how about we take a first look together? Now, I've not really used Cwicly. I literally bought this a couple of days ago, and I've really taken about 10 to 15 minutes to just kind of have a quick look over it before I start this video. So you are going to see a lot of this alongside me. Okay, so first of all, what exactly is Cwicly? Well, if we take a look at the website, you can see Cwicly turns the WordPress editor into a professional website builder. If you kind of think of something like Bricks Builder or Oxygen, where you have a lot of control over the styling, positioning, you can use Flexbox, those kinds of things. This is all integrated into this. And like I say, you also have the ability to use ACF metadata to add in all that dynamic goodness should you want to. Okay, so that's basically what it is. Let's have a quick look at some of the features we have on offer. Again, like I say, there's a lot of great tutorials on the actual Cwicly YouTube channel, so check those out to give you a sort of heads up on how to get started. But as you can see, the whole point of this is to make working with Gutenberg easier. There's a lot of really good information on the website, including information about the design library, which we will take a look at as we go through this video. But if we take a look, this is kind of what the whole aim of Cwicly is. It helps you to create responsive designs that are high performing because you're not using a page builder to add that extra code and bloat. You can include dynamic content, like I say, using ACF that's already integrated into this. You can do things like global fonts and colors. You've got custom fonts and icons, and several of those sort of like different ones are integrated into the builder itself. And you can add more in if you want to, if you have your own unique fonts and icons you want to use. It supports the CSS Grid and Flexbox, which is great. And you also have scroll animations if you want to get a little bit creative. So that's basically what you have with Cwicly. So let's first of all take a look at the pricing on the actual website itself, and also take a look at the Appsumo deal that's currently running, where you can grab yourself licenses for lifetime. So if this does interest you, I would recommend, while the offer is running over on Appsumo, to get it from there, so you can then have that 60-day money-back guarantee if you don't like it, and you have lifetime if you do. Okay, so first of all, let's take a look at the pricing, the official pricing over on the Cwicly website. We've got 3 different price plans we can use. We've got the Base, the Pro, and Expert. The only difference between these is the number of websites that you can use Cwicly on. So for €49, you get 1 website per year. 99 gives you 3 websites, and 199 gives you 1,000 websites. So my first thing here is, I kind of find it strange that a lot of companies do this kind of thing, where the base price is quite expensive for what it is in comparison to, in this example, the expert site or an agency plan kind of thing, where you go from 1 website to 4 times the price for 1,000 websites. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So I'd like to see the sort of base price drop a little bit to reduce that barrier to entry, maybe $29, maybe put 4 plans into place, kind of gives you a tier. Going to 1,000 from 3 and then doubling the price just kind of seems a little bit odd to me. Okay, but that's the pricing over on the official website. If we hop over now into Appsumo, you can see this starts off at $49. If we view the plans, you can see basically what that gives us is, we can start off with 1 plan and we get access to everything, but that's for 3 websites. So we're already saving ourselves $50 by grabbing this, and we get lifetime. However, you can stack 2 codes for 10 websites, which is what I've done, or you can stack 3 codes for 1,000 websites. So basically $150, give or take, will give you 1,000 websites. So again, $50 cheaper than buying the annual subscription to it. So let's now hop over into the dashboard of WordPress, where I've already gone ahead and installed things, and take a look. Now, what do you have when you install it? Well, first of all, you've got the theme, which is a bare bones theme because we are working with full site editing. So you're going to need to make sure you install that. You've also got to install Gutenberg because it has to work with full site editing. So currently you need to have the Gutenberg plugin installed. You can't just use the Gutenberg that ships currently with WordPress. If you're seeing this a little later down the line when full site editing is included, then you won't need to install that plugin. It'll already be integrated into everything. And finally, once we do that, it'll go ahead and install custom fields for us. And you can see we've got advanced custom fields inside here as well. And like I say, this is the Pro version. Okay, so once we've done that and we've got everything set up, we've got some really basic settings that we can set up for Cwicly. And if we come into settings and into Cwicly, you'll see inside there's not a huge amount. We can drop our license key in to activate this on the site. And then we've got a couple of other settings. So things like icon collections. If we open this up, you can see it currently ships with 4 different icon collections. But if you want to add your own in, you can do that and you can upload those directly. You've also got font sets, which you can do, and I think this only supports WOFF2. Yeah, there we go. It's the only format that it currently supports. Full help and support is available to you. You can drop in your Google Maps API, and also you've got custom code, which is something that I like. So if you are used to working with something like Code Snippets, the plugin, this is basically the same kind of thing, but built directly into Cwicly itself. So you can give it a name, and you can also drop in the code position, whether it's the head, body, or the end or the start body tags. So pretty cool to see that. Again, that's one less plugin you need to use. And advanced settings basically just gives you the option to verify your SSL and close the importer upon success. So there's not really a huge amount of options inside there. Let's quickly just jump over to the help section. And as you can see, there's a lot of well-structured help inside here. So we've got a breakdown of all the different kinds of blocks, the modal, list, image, and so on. And if we open any of these up, you can see it gives us a lot of information, including step-by-step kind of cheat sheets to do exactly what we need to do. Setting the basics, the height, the width, the image source, those kinds of things. So there's a lot of resources here, and you probably will find you'll go back and forth to this when you look at some of the more advanced features that Cwicly actually offers you. So don't be afraid to check this out. And again, like I say, there's a lot of great videos on the official channel that covers a lot of the important things you're going to do with Cwicly. Okay, with all that out of the way, let's take a quick look now at what we have inside Cwicly itself when we start to create content and how we can set things up. Okay, so now that we're into the dashboard, there's a couple of ways in which you can access the Cwicly editor. You can use it for full site editing, or you can use it for just sort of basic page creation. And we'll take a rough look at both of those in a moment. So let's just go ahead and take a look at the easiest way, which is as if we're going to create a new post or a page. So if we simply come in and add a new page, once we're inside there, you'll see we get a typical looking Gutenberg layout. We've got a new option at the top, which is the import element, which is the elements that we have as part of Cwicly itself. And if we look over on the right-hand side, you can see we've got a Cwicly icon, allows us to see the global styles, colors, typography, those kinds of things. We've also got predefined styles, which we can create ourselves. So you can see we've got 3 different options inside there. And if we open up something like the global colors, you can see there's our starting colors. We kind of kick things off with 4 different colors, but we can easily name those and add additional colors ourselves. We can change any of these by clicking on the color chip. All the usual things you'd expect to see. If we change our styles over, you can see that we'll change the colors over, and we can just basically pick and choose between those 3 and create our own using those as the basis. Let's switch this back to style 1. We've also got the options inside here for the different responsive modes, so we can switch between desktop, tablet, and mobile, so we can ensure that everything looks the way we want. If we open up this next option, you can see we've got the pseudo classes, so things like your normal, your hover state, your active, those kinds of things, so you can style things inside here using those options as well. Lots of useful options inside there, and if we kind of come back out of this, so let's just simply hit the back button. And then we can go back in and we can change the various different things like the global styling for global design and also for the global theming. And if we want to, we can also export the page. So if you wanted to use this, create a sort of like a sort of setup starting point, you could do that on various different setups, and then you could export those, import those into another copy of Cwicly, and then get started in a much quicker fashion. So always good to see the import and export options available. Okay, so next up you can see we've got some options for a quick collection. This allows you to take various different components, various different templates, whatever you want, and then save them into a collection. Again, can be very, very useful when you want to create multiple templates and you're going to use the same header, same footer, those kinds of things to quickly and easily pull in various different components. So always like to see things like that. We can click this little sort of map icon, and that gives us the navigator in a very similar fashion to what you have if you're using Elementor or using Bricks or those kinds of things, and we'll see that in action, and I'll show you how we can use it. Again, one of those things I like about this is it's drag and drop, so we can reposition the layout much better than what we have directly inside Gutenberg itself by using this simple option in our list view, where currently nothing is draggable. It just shows you that's literally all it does. And finally, if we open up this option, the little sort of view option as part of Gutenberg, you can see we've got some additional options inside here. So quickly hide the Cwicly modal, and I'll show you that in a moment of why that's really useful. The collection, which we're currently looking at, and we can jump over to the global settings again. So just another way of accessing various different things. Okay, so nothing really exciting there. What I do want to address though is I'm not a big fan of the styling, the way that this has been put together. Perfectly functional, everything you need is there, but I think it could do, the UI and UX could do with just a little bit of refinement. I know I kind of reference things like Blocksy and Bricks because I think they are exemplary when it comes to a great user interface and a user experience. I think they could take a little bit from this. This section isn't too bad, but you'll see when we go in and start editing various different parts, it kind of looks just a little bit cluttered and a little bit amateur in some ways. Like I say, it doesn't detract from the functionality is there. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look now at the different elements we've got. So if we click to add an element, you can see there's all our Cwicly blocks and all the usual culprits are there. You've got columns, you've got sections, we've got divs, we can use those. We can drop in lists, icons, all the usual things you'd expect. We also have the Cwicly query, which allows us to create a post or page query and create unique looks and feels for that. We've got your Cwicly post content, which will pull in the content of the post into one of our full site edited templates. And we've also got the Cwicly repeater. Now this is something that I know a lot of people will be really happy to see. You have the Advanced Custom Fields Pro repeater region function built directly into the Cwicly editor. So when you create your repeaters inside ACF Pro, you can now build them out inside Cwicly itself. Great to see that addition in there. And the more options we can have like this with dynamic content, the better. Okay, so we can easily drag and drop in the various different sort of containers, the elements, the different things like that. If we go to the import element option, this is kind of all the different templates we have. We've got block templates for things like headers and footers and hero sections and so on. We've got full layouts. If you wanted to pull in an entire layout, you can see we've got options inside here to preview and import it. We've got themes, so we can put in an entire theme design. And again, you can see we've got a lot of different options. Currently, there are 30 inside here. And then finally, you've got elements, which are individual components like buttons and things like that, shopping cart if using WooCommerce and so on. So there's plenty to start off with. A couple of things, some of them are a little bit, they're not the best designs. No disrespect again to the company behind this. But I think when it comes to block designs, that's something that you need to have someone that's very skilled in. And I think they would, if this takes off, I think it would be great to bring someone on board with a UI UX background and also someone that has the ability to create really, really good looking Gutenberg blocks, because that would be good to see. It's nice to see that we have wireframe options inside here. So if you want to just get quickly, pardon the pun, started quickly, you want to sort of create a rough design, prototype, hand off to a client so they can kind of come back with feedback on it without all the extra things like images and real text in. This is always good to see. I love seeing wireframe options. So again, if there's more options available for the wireframe, that is something that I think would be awesome. So that side of things is all pretty good. So let's just say we'll take in something from here. We'll grab one of the navigation elements and just pull that in and see how things are made up. So we can preview this if we want to, and it'll open up a new tab, and you can see we can preview, we can see what the hover effect is like on the navigation. We've got buttons inside here, logos, those kinds of things. So all pretty quick and easy. Once we've found one that we like, we can simply then go ahead and say we'll import that. So we'll import it, and boom, there you go. It's now inserted into our design. You can see there's all the different sort of options we have for removing the section. We can go in and do things like add a block to this. We can move it. We can do all the kinds of usual things you'd expect to see. And if we open up, see, we can show more settings, and that will now give us the section settings. And this is where I want to kind of go back to what I was just saying about why a UI UX design really would make this shine. If you take a look now at the right hand side, you can see we've got lots of different options, the primary and the advanced, and inside there, especially when you jump into advanced, there's an awful lot of options, but it looks just a little bit, I'll use the term amateur again. All the tools you need there, and like I say, it is totally functional. Let's just have a little bit of consistency in the look and feel. I think that would make it stand out so much better. Okay, so with that side of things out of the way, let's take a look. We've got the primary, which is the key functions that most people will probably want to use, or the key settings that most people want to use to get the job done. And then when you want to dig a little deeper, and really get into the nitty-gritty of the different block that you're working with, the different sort of element that you're designing, then you've got a ton of different options inside you. I mean an absolute ton. You've got various different animation settings, you've got effects, transforms, pseudo classes, you've got attributes, you've got relative styling. And this is why I say, if you come from something like, Bricks or Oxygen, a lot of this is going to feel very familiar, because that's kind of the direction that they have gone in. It's using Flexbox models, those kinds of things, the containers and the grid and so on. And this is using the same kind of thing just inside Gutenberg. So you can see there's lots of options inside there. And let me just open up the sort of navigator again. So you can see now with the navigator open, we can see all the different elements. So for example, this paragraph section at the top. So with this paragraph section and the Cwicly section, you can see I can open and close these various different elements. I can reposition them. I can nest them. You can see it's very, very straightforward to do. A little bit quirky at times. And again, this is one of those things that I think a lot of different builders that use this kind of technology, they can be a little bit awkward sometimes to get these various different repositioning features exactly where you want. Okay, so you can see all the different elements inside there, and I can click and I can select any of them. When I mouse over, you can see it'll highlight them, so we get a visual representation of where the different things are. You can see we can select it, we can choose the options for it, we can show more settings for it, and then we can go in and we can fine tune exactly where it is that we want to edit. So for example, if we choose the menu from here, we can then come in and just make changes to the menu. So there you go, all the different options inside there, your main menu, your menu items, your sub menu, all inside there, including additional classes. So all of the classes that you create are linked inside here, so you can select those and apply those. Now, this is the first thing that kind of gets a little bit, could do with a bit of refinement. You can see we've got the block ID and the class name. They're randomly generated, which is totally understandable, but they could do with being just something a little bit more descriptive. So for example, this is a menu item, so it would be good to see this name, so like C9E-menu, or something that would make some sense, because when you look at these additional classes, that means nothing to most people. And as you can see, I don't have much on the page, and there's already probably about 30-40 classes inside there, so picking that out would be a nightmare. You can easily come in and change the class name, so we'll just tag on menu, for example, on there, and you can see that now adds that in, and I'm assuming that that will probably show up inside you if we want to reference it. There we go. So you can see it's inside there, and it is instantaneous when you make these changes, but it's just one of those things that I think would add time onto what will become a very repetitive process. From a functional point of view, all works perfectly fine. From a user's point of view, things like that would just make things a little easier. So maybe just like say prefix or prepend it with what the actual element is, whether it's a div, an image, an icon, whatever. Give it a unique name number, but just tag on what it is, so at least you can get a head start on what you're actually looking for. Tons of options inside there, and again we've got the advanced options in here as well. So if you want to change the typography, you can easily come in, change the font family to, for example, let's just do Montserrat. You can see that updates on there. We can change this now to a thinner font. All very, very easy. Nothing you're not used to if you haven't already worked inside Gutenberg itself. So nice to see how easy this is. You've also got options for your container layout, and you can see this is the Flexbox. We open this up, you've got inline flex, all the different options you should need for most use cases. You can control the direction, the alignment, and again, you've got options to set this up on the different kinds of modes. So if we switch this over now into tablet view, you can see all these different options for the container and everything else. Now switch over to tablet view, and if we switch into mobile view, and these should waterfall down. So if you make a change to the desktop, that will go down to the tablet and the mobile. But if you make a change to the mobile, the desktop won't be affected, but the mobile will. Hope that makes sense. Just the way that CSS basically works. Okay, so that's basically the Cwicly editor. This is a really, really quick, brief overview, and we can publish this if we want to, and we just created a basic page. Now let's come back out of this. Let's hop over and take a look inside the appearance section, because once you enable full site editing with Gutenberg, with the plugin currently, you get some extra options inside here, and the one that we are interested in right now is the editor. So if we open the editor option up, inside there, this is going to open up the Gutenberg full site editor. So nothing really looks anything different inside here other than the fact that we have this new section at the top that says index. If we expand that, this is just telling us we're editing the index template. We can clear the customization to get rid of anything at all in there to start off with a blank slate. We can also come in and say browse all templates, and that'll open up the left-hand side. And you can see the 4 key templates we have currently are index, category, single post, and 404. You can add your own custom templates in if you want to. And again, if you'd like me to cover full site editing with or without Cwicly, let me know in the comment section below. If we kind of come into this and go into category, for example, you can see now we're editing the category option. We can come back out, browse back to our list of templates, hit on there, and we're back to the index. And what we end up with is basically just a blank layout. So now we can start to create the various different components. So we could come into import, for example, and we could say what we want inside here is going to be some navigation. So let's just find the navigation option. And we'll say we like the look of this one. We can import that. So we've now created our navigation element, which we can go ahead and style and design and do all those things. Build from scratch if you want to. If we come in now and take a look at these options, you can see at the moment what we're seeing is the actual navigation header section and also the mobile section. So this allows you to fine-tune and design everything. And again, if we want to open up the actual browser section, the navigator, you can see we can go in there. And it's basically a modal. This section for our mobile navigation is a modal. So if we don't want to see that when we're working, we can, if we want to, just simply come into the options and say hide Cwicly modals. And that will just basically turn it off. Now you won't see this on the front end of the site on a normal desktop view, but when you switch to tablet or mobile, that's when you would see it. So just allows you to style those. So pretty easy to do. So now that we created the navigation, the header section, we can carry on doing the same thing to build our template out, our index template. So for example, now we can go ahead, we can say import another element. This time we'll come into the footer options. We'll select footer and we'll say we'll just grab one of these footer designs. This one will look fine. We'll just import that in. So that's basically creating your templates. Now we hit save on there. You can see this is going to save the template as the index template. We'll hit save. That's our template created. And now if we want to take a look at this, we can hop over to the site and take a look. And there we go. You can see there's our header section in place. There's our footer section in place. And now we can just drop in the various different elements inside the middle of this. So for example, if we come back into our editor, we want to put our page content inside there. For example, we can just simply come into add. You can see we can put our Cwicly post content. We'll click to add that inside there. We'll just hop over now to our navigator and make sure everything is positioned as we need to. Now again, it would be nice to see these being automatically named something. So if you put in a template in, it would be automatically named Cwicly header, Cwicly navigation, those kinds of things. Just little things that I think would be useful, and you can change these. So you can say Cwicly navigation. There we go, that's renamed it. So you can do it very easily. It would just be nice if it was sort of just given something a little bit more in keeping, especially when you're importing these elements. Okay, so let's just position this where we want, which is going to be above the footer section. And there we go. So that now should be everything in place. This is just a placeholder for our post content. We'll hit save and save again. And now if we just hop over, we should find that we'll have some content on there. And there we go. It looks terrible because this was designed in Elementor and it's not actually active, but you can see how easy it is to start pulling these things in. Okay, so now we've seen how to create these sort of templates and everything. What about that dynamic content? How do we go about using that? Well, let's take a little look. Let's get out of this and let's create something new. Let's just go ahead and create a normal page. Let's call this dynamic test. And let's just save our page. So now we can go ahead and just start pulling information in. So let's just go and grab one of the ordinary widgets and we'll say we want to grab something like a header. We'll click to add that in and you'll notice that we get this little dynamic values icon. If we click to open that up, you can see this now gives us a couple of options. Inside the dynamic value, we've got WordPress data and ACF because we have ACF installed. Now, currently I have nothing created in ACF, but the process is going to work exactly the same as the WordPress data. If we open this up, this then opens up what data do we want to pull in. So we can open this and you can see we can grab loads of data from the post, from the archive, from the site, from the author, from the current user, and so on. So you could very easily use these to create various different designs as part of your template and pull in dynamic data directly into that layout. So this is really, really powerful and a great way to get started creating dynamic content, again, directly inside the Cwicly editor itself. Now this is something that I would like to cover in its own dedicated video because I think that would be more useful. So as always, if you'd like to see more information about using Cwicly alongside dynamic content like this, let me know in the comment section below. And that's really what I wanted to cover in this first look video. I've kind of gone over things in a little bit of a random way, but I just kind of wanted to show you what Cwicly is, what it's about. So to round things up, do I think this is something that's worth investing your time, effort, and money into? Well, personally, I've already done that. I've spent the money on a 10 license plan over on Appsumo. This just gives me the ability to use this in my own personal projects if I like it. And I'm interested to see where it goes. For me, it has a ton of options that I think are really, really powerful, including that ACF license directly built in. I think the UI UX could do with a little bit of refinement alongside some of the elements or the block layouts, the templates and so on. I think they could do with a little bit more finesse being applied to some of those just to give us really solid starting points. And I'd love to see even more wireframe blocks added to the collection, but great to see we have those in there right now. So for me, this is something that I would buy with an eye to seeing where it develops in the next 6 to 12 months. The cost of entry isn't crazy if you're going down the route of the Appsumo deal. However, that might be a little bit different if you look to buy it directly from Cwicly once the Appsumo deal is actually over. But let me know your thoughts on this. Have you bought this? Is this something you'd be interested in? How do you think it fares to some of the competition out there? Things like bricks, things like oxygen, or things like various different block elements, cadence blocks, those kinds of things. Let me know in the comments section down below. As always, all the applicable links for everything I've covered in this video are in the description. My name is Paul C. This is WPTuts, and until next time, take care.